Hey, I'm Dr. Priyanka Venugopal, and you're listening to Weight Loss for Unstoppable Moms, Episode 18, What It Takes. Today's episode, we're talking about what it takes to reach your ideal weight in a lasting and permanent way. What we're really talking about is the solution for forever weight loss. I like to think about forever weight loss as a different flavor than the up and down that most of us are used to, or what I like to call wobble weight. Let's get into it. If you want to reach your ideal weight and create lightness for your body, you need to have simplicity, joy, and strategic decisions infused into your life. I'm a physician turned life and weight loss coach for ambitious working moms. I've lost over 60 pounds without counting points, calories, or crazy exercise plans. Most importantly, I feel calm and light on the scale and in my life. There's some delicious magic when you learn this work and the skills I'm going to be teaching you. Ready? Let's get to it. Hey everyone, I cannot wait to share today's episode about what I like to call Wobble Land and Forever Land. And I'm going to be teaching you the details for how to live in the land of forever results. But before I do, I wanted to tell you about a free resource that I have been working on just for you. It is a short video series called the Power Start Weight Loss Guide. This Power Start Weight Loss Guide is going to teach you some of my most powerful and simple tools for weight loss, and it's available right now for you to grab. I like to think about here on this podcast, you getting an immense amount of value, but also kind of in a stream of consciousness. It's what I'm experiencing in real time that I'm sharing with you, or what I see my clients experiencing in real time. When you work with me inside the Unstoppable group, I have a set of powerful strategies and mindset tools that I really take my clients through in a specific order that I've curated and condensed into a video library just for them. And I decided as I was thinking about how best to serve all of you to give you a piece of that video library today inside the Power Start Guide. So to get this, you can just go to the unstoppablemombrain.com/power and sign up. That's /POWER. And you will get immediate access to this video series. I would say that it takes about 30 minutes to watch the videos. They're all really simple and on one page. And then you're going to be taken through some specific questions to answer alongside this video series. And what that allows you to do is customize the tools that you're going to be learning. You get to customize it to you. So the reason that I would recommend, even if you're a current client or a previous client of mine, is that I am teaching some of my concepts and tools in a more powerful way that I think will be highly beneficial for all of you. I would say that many of us have really pitted hunger and satiety against each other. And some of the tools that you're going to be learning in this Power Start Guide is going to start to really shift our perspective away from pitting hunger and satiety against each other. And you're going to learn how to use both of these as tools in your forever weight loss. So that kind of brings me perfectly to segue into today's topic, moving into how and what it takes to create forever results on the scale and for your body. I really first want to bring some attention to the difference between the two, the difference between Wobble Land and Forever Land, and what it really takes to live in the land of forever. I'm going to break down what it takes from a practical perspective and the specific actions that create living in the land of forever, and also what it takes for you from a mindset perspective. So let's just start with Wobble Land. What is wobble weight loss, and what is it, and what does it feel like to live in the land of wobble? First, I would say is that being in the land of wobble or having wobble weight loss is the most common place for most of us to live. At least most of us who have struggled to reach your ideal weight, I would say most of us have been living in the land of wobble. And I would say, because I'm one of these people, I lived in the land of wobble for decades. So let's just start by normalizing that it's okay to be here and it's normal that you have been. I also want to add that even when you learn how to live in the land of forever results, you will from time to time visit the land of wobble again and again. And we never ever need to make ourselves wrong or weak or incapable for ever visiting or even temporarily living in the land of Wobble ever again. You're here because you want to learn how to stop wobbling in weight loss. And what we want to do together is create deeper, more lasting, permanent, forever results. So I want all of you to just give yourself a moment to really give yourself permission to learn. And it's okay if this takes you time. Okay, so what does the land of Wobble really look like? What does Wobble weight gain and weight loss actually look like for you? In a nutshell, I would say that it really looks like being up and down on the scale or feeling heavy and light in your body without consistency. It's this feeling of struggle and hardship when it comes to reaching your ideal weight that eventually gives up and we eventually quit at. The land of Wobble is more than just a few pounds of weight fluctuation. So before we get really deep into the land of Wobble, I want to take a moment to describe what it's like to have normal weight fluctuations and to distinguish this from living in Wobble Land. It's normal to have a few pounds up and down on the scale, week to week for multiple reasons. It could be just where you're at in your menstrual cycle, how much sleep you got that week, or maybe that slightly saltier meal or weekend. Maybe you've had recent travel, or you haven't been drinking enough water or getting enough rest. All of these reasons and many more will create an overall normal weight fluctuation. Don't mistake normal weight fluctuation for wobble. Gaining a few pounds week to week or every month up and down is normal. When you see the scale go up while you're ovulating and then you lose it when you get your period is normal. So first and foremost, be aware of your normal body fluctuations and what it's like for your unique human body to experience the normal ups and downs. And I would say that normal body fluctuations is usually not more than a few pounds. So now that we know what normal weight fluctuations are for you, let's talk about what Wobble Land is. Visiting the land of Wobble happens only when you actually gain weight from overeating. And in my unstoppable universe, overeating is defined as eating food anytime that your body isn't actually hungry, or eating foods that don't feel comfortable in your body. Now, really getting familiar with this sensation of hunger and satiety is really the whole reason that I even created the Power Start weight loss guide for you, because understanding this one key principle deeply is going to be so helpful for you. So we've defined that a couple of pounds up and down is normal, but beyond that normal fluctuation, when you see the scale go up, is what we're going to call as weight gain, which comes from eating when your body isn't hungry. And what I see happens on the other end of the spectrum is you see the scale go up, you maybe overeat or you gain weight, and then to solve for this, you start to drastically restrict, deprive, limit your food, count calories, and even overfast to quickly lose weight. And what I call this is wobble weight loss. The reason that we are calling this Wobble Land is because either direction never sticks and it doesn't feel long term. So the scale goes up, which doesn't feel good, and then you try to lose weight, but it doesn't feel sustainable. And so you go up and down on the scale, living in the land of Wobble. Now, living in the land of Wobble happens for a few reasons. The first, which I've talked about before, is using grit and grind to lose weight. And what this really is doing is tapping into an unsustainable way of eating, which drives you to tap into depleting sources of willpower, which we talked about in an earlier episode on this podcast. You might find yourself restricting, counting every calorie, point, or macro. You might find yourself having extended fasts because you really want to see the scale come down. And it's this grit and grind that isn't sustainable. What you might also find yourself focusing on when you're living in the land of Wobble is you focus most of your attention on the plan, which then means very little of your attention is being given to what you're thinking and feeling on a daily basis. And the trouble with this, when you're living in the land of Wobble, is you don't uncover your deeper wants and needs for connection, safety, love, and relaxation. And so eventually when the grit and grind wears down your willpower, your brain very naturally and reflexively goes back to its old patterns to fill your deeper desire for connection, safety, love, and relaxation. Your brain very automatically goes to food. And these old practice ways do fill you up. Overeating, snacking when you're not hungry, numbing out and distracting with the chips, cookies, and wine, it's a very effective way to fill you up, physically and emotionally. You get a strong hit of dopamine and endorphins, and so you stay in the cycle where you work really hard to try to lose the weight, and then in 1 or 2 days, you undo the efforts. If this is you, I want you to just know that this is one side of living in Wobble Land, being super strict and then eventually crumbling and then leading to weight gain. The other side of Wobble Land that I want you to become aware of is when you make no plans, or maybe your plans are extremely vague and amorphous. I would say that I am extremely guilty of living on this side of Wobble. Everything I share on this podcast is something that I have personally experienced or directly seen my clients experiencing. I know that for me, when I either make no plans or have very, very vague and amorphous plans, it's because I'm thinking I don't have time to plan. Or I tell myself I don't want to box myself into a plan that I might not be in the mood for later. And I also tell myself I can just make the best decision in the moment. These sound so good. And what I want to tell you on here is that I still do this to this day. I still live on this side of Wobble where I will sometimes not make plans, be extremely vague. And when I'm in this place, I always see how I create vague and amorphous results. So just start to be aware of your patterns and what's keeping you in the land of Wobble. I've shared on this before. When we make no plans or very vague or amorphous plans, we're not giving our brain any direction. And remember, our brains are craving direction. And so with the vague, ambiguous, no direction plans, we're leaving our brain to make a lot more in-the-moment impulse decisions, which over the course of the day is tapping into willpower, which eventually depletes. Your brain seriously is getting so fatigued from all of the decisions that eventually, by the end of the day, she picks the easiest in-the-moment option, which is always the most habitual and practiced. Let me repeat that last part. When we are making so many in-the-moment decisions, our brains get fatigued from decision-making, and she will always go back to that habitual and practiced pattern. And so when you don't plan with significance in advance, your momentary decisions will often be your most habitual practices. This is just your brain operating with peak efficiency, and it's the reason that we have habits to begin with. So just to recap here, the reason that you are visiting or living in the land of Wobble is because either you are being over-restrictive and being really tight and strict with yourself, ignoring your deeper wants and needs, or you're leaving all of your decision-making to in the moment. You're being vague with your planning, which is giving your brain little direction. You may be in one bucket or the other. I personally have found myself in both. So how is it that we take the exit ramp from the land of Wobble and get to the land of forever results? Before we talk about how to get to Foreverland, I want to first paint a picture of what it actually looks like to live there and really have you consider how this is completely possible for any of you listening to this podcast. First of all, you are able to reach your destination. You're actually able to reach your ideal weight and live there with ease. And you feel more ease around your body and food and how you fuel your body day to day. Living in the land of forever weight loss means that you're able to maintain your weight in a very similar way to the way that you lost it. Living in the land of forever means that you allow your body to have normal weight fluctuations and even occasionally visit the land of Wobble without it ever being a problem. Living in the land of forever weight loss means that you do occasionally visit Wobble Land and you easily know how to take a U-turn, a K-turn. You know how to take the exit ramp without any drama. So what does it really mean to live in Foreverland? The picture that I want to paint around living in Foreverland is that it isn't static. It's not like you get to this one point in the road and that you're done. You're still living your life. You're still driving in the car. because there's no actual end to the road. There doesn't need to be an end to this road because there's no drama. You're driving with simplicity, joy, and ease. I was recently talking to one of my clients about this. We were talking about how it's so common to think that when you reach the destination, when you reach that magic number on the scale, then we'll feel the ease, the calm, the confidence, and the simplicity. And so we try to hustle our way there, solely focusing on the actions of getting there and not the mindset. And what I was reminding her was to reach that magic number, to reach that destination and create ease starts with really first feeling ease along the journey. Why is this? It's because when you reach that magic 3-digit number, all of a sudden life doesn't just stop. Everything keeps going. The chips, the cookies, and the wine are going to be around forever. The vacations, the busy work weeks, your overnight calls are just a part of our forever life. So wouldn't it be so much better to create ease within the normal constraints of your actual life to live in the land of forever? This is why the mindset piece is the cornerstone of getting to Foreverland and then staying there. And I think that one of my biggest mistakes, and one of the mistakes that I see happen most commonly with my clients, is believing that once you get there, then things will be easy. The mistaken belief is that getting to the destination means that it's all done. And when we kind of hold onto this mindset, we start to go back to old ways, and that's when we start to gain the weight back. We start to go back to our autopilot thoughts and our autopilot feelings and, of course, our autopilot habits. But listen, reaching that number isn't the end because life's going to keep going and you're still going to have your usual working mom life. There are still obstacles and family annoyances and work stresses. So I want to talk about how we can really utilize the mindset piece of this to live in the land of forever with more ease. Now, before you throw your hands up in the air like, seriously, I just wanted it all to be done, let me tell you this. The key difference between Wobble Land and Foreverland is that the drama is done, but giving yourself attention and significance isn't. Let me just repeat that. Forever weight loss means that the drama is done. The struggle is gone. You can have ease and simplicity and maintain your ideal weight with so much more joy than you ever have before. And also know that giving yourself attention, thinking and directing your brain on purpose, prioritizing your goals and creating intentional practices is never done. And that's what it takes to lose and maintain your ideal weight. Let's talk about that in a little bit more detail. What it takes to actually get to and live in the land of forever weight loss. There are 4 elements for what I think it takes to really reach your ideal weight and then maintain it with ease. I'm going to list all 4 of them and then I'm going to break each one down in a little bit more detail. The first one is you have to have a strategy that actually works. The second one is your strategy needs to be sustainable and over time become simple. The third piece is you have to feel committed to your strategy on a daily basis. And then the fourth thing is you have to actively practice giving your brain direction, basically the mindset piece. Before I get into depth around each of these 4 elements, I want to share one common crux that I have found with so many working moms. This work requires that you stop giving yourself the scraps of leftover resources. What it takes to live in the land of forever results means you're not just operating from the scraps of leftover time, leftover energy, and leftover bandwidth. It takes more than leftovers, okay? So this means you're giving yourself permission to take up space in your life. It means that you give yourself a little bit more than what you're giving yourself now. This practice that I'm about to get into will save you time later on. It's going to save you energy later on, and it's going to add to your bandwidth later on. So prioritizing this practice and giving yourself permission to invest your time, energy, and bandwidth is investing in your future life. And I think that it's an important point to bring up because I find so many working moms and women really giving themselves the leftover scraps of their time, energy, and bandwidth, and then wondering and feeling confused around why they don't have more sustainable and powerful results. We want to customize these 4 elements into your life and as a daily and weekly practice. And it's absolutely true that it might take a little bit extra time or energy to start and to put these practices into place. But once you fold these into your daily ritual, it will start to become a seamless part of your routine. And it will save you countless hours, energy, and frustration in the future. So let's get into what these 4 elements are around what it takes to live in the land of forever weight loss, knowing that you get to take up more space in your life, no longer operating from the scraps. Number 1, your strategy needs to work. This means that you aren't operating and implementing old business strategies as usual, because business as usual will create more of the same results. So if your strategy hasn't been working so far, get curious around what specifically isn't working exactly and why. This goes back to my earlier episode. It was podcast episode number 5 that talked about your process. Before we talk about really living in the land of forever weight loss, we really first want to craft a strategy and a process that you know will get you there, and that will create measurable results for you. You need to have a strategy and process that you believe and trust in always. Because when you aren't loving your results, which sometimes we won't, you don't ever spend any bandwidth or energy questioning the strategy or the process. You get to the real work of wondering how your implementation can improve. This is massively powerful. When we take on the responsibility of our results, once we have a strategy and process we trust, just this step will take you so far towards the land of forever weight loss. So, for example, inside my Unstoppable group, I teach a strategy for my clients that is simple. The premise of my strategy and process is to eat in a way that feels good for your body, to eat foods that feel good, to eat foods and ingredients that support fat burning, to eat when your body is actually asking for food, and to learn how to create your emotional experience separate from food. This strategy works 100% of the time when it's implemented 100% of the time. And what we get to really explore inside this group is when we aren't getting the results we want, instead of questioning the strategy, we evaluate with playful curiosity the implementation. It's so good. Okay, enough about step number 1. I could go on and on about this step forever because I love it so much, but let's move on to step number 2. Step number 2, your strategy should be sustainable and eventually feel simple. I word it this way because it's absolutely true. When you are learning a new process or implementing a new strategy, it might not feel simple right away. Or even when you decide to recommit to an old strategy or process you've tried before, it might not feel simple right away. And that's okay and normal. Allow yourself the gift of having a learning curve as you implement a sustainable strategy that will eventually become simple. What we want to really think about in terms of sustainable strategies is to have a strategy that is focused on needle movers. So instead of having a very complicated, complex 10-step strategies full of a lot of extras, I want to have you consider what it would look like for you to simplify it down to the needle movers that you know make a difference. So to extend on the example I gave in step 1, I help my clients curate a way of eating that fits into their real life, into their family's life, and into their work life that they create, but then help them customize it to their taste buds and their bodies so they love their way of eating while also eating foods that will really teach their body to burn fat. I call this a needle mover because it's extremely effective at creating results once the initial planning is done. It's sustainable because it's easily repeatable. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every single week. We create a plan that is repeatable, simple, and tastes good, and then we stick with it. And then what we get to do together is evaluate its implementation. Over time, when you repeat a process again and again and you hone your skills at the implementation, it starts to become incredibly simple. Moving on to step 3, you have to be committed to the strategy you choose. And I recommend committing to your strategy and really what your goal is in writing on a daily basis. There is a plethora of data and research on this topic, but writing down your goals and plans on paper and writing down why you want these gives yourself and your dream goals more significance. And we are way more likely to follow through and achieve our goals when we give ourselves this kind of significance in writing. You know that I love the science on this, but I will also share with you that this was probably the piece for me that was really the hardest. I found myself incredibly resistant to having a daily practice of writing because I used to tell myself that I could just do it in my head. I know that I want to lose weight and I know what my goal is and I generally know what I'm eating. And so I really resisted the idea of this daily practice, mostly because I would tell myself I don't really have the time and it's probably silly anyway. Here's what I discovered. This kept my brain and my direction wobbly. I would visit Wobble Land a lot more often because my direction was super vague. And more often than not, my brain would get exhausted from the negotiating and the impulse decisions that she would often go back to old ways. Hence, I lived in Wobble Land for quite a while just because of this. I took commitment and my desire to lose weight for granted. And I assumed that I would just want to follow through because I wanted the weight loss. But no, this isn't true. But what step 3 is really highlighting is to get to and live in the land of forever is a daily practice of writing down why we want to be there. What is our goal and what is our plan to stay there? I like to think about that feeling of commitment as just zinging through your whole entire body that gives your dream so much more significance than we're ever used to giving it. Now, does this take a little bit of time every day? Yes. And trust me, living in the land of forever is worth it. It's like taking a few moments at the start of your drive and typing in the address to your GPS. Does it take a few moments extra? Yes, but it saves you so much more time later when you're walking around or driving around in vague, directionless land. I emphasize this point a little bit more because I see all too often that women will lose weight, but then they start to gain it back. And on inspection, when we really dig into why and what it was that created the weight gain back, it's often this step. We forget to give our goals, our dreams, our bodies daily significance, and we forget to remember why it is that we actually even want these goals. And this is just because we stop giving ourselves daily significance, often because we go back to giving ourselves the scraps of time, energy, and bandwidth. So this is just an invitation today, if you don't have a practice of giving yourself some daily significance, to start right now. Make it fun and simple and even joyous. It could be just on a simple piece of paper, on the prettiest journal, on an old tattered notebook, or on a cool app on your phone. And don't complicate this. I'm sharing this because I'm telling you all the obstacles that I myself have gone into. I know that I have managed to make something like this, a practice of daily writing, super complicated. I'll find myself needing to run to Staples or visit Etsy and research the prettiest journal to start even incorporating a daily practice. Don't do that. All of those things are really just distractions from taking action today. So I want to invite you to just start. Spend 5 to 10 minutes per day in writing, committing to yourself, writing down your goal, writing down your plan, giving your brain direction, and most importantly, remembering why you even want this. And then experiment with what it feels like to have this daily ritual in the morning, in the middle of your day, or in the evening. I've tried every iteration of this, and what I have found, even though I hate waking up earlier, is when I do wake up a little bit earlier, somehow having this daily practice sets the tone for my day to feel so much more calm, grounded, and not surprisingly, more committed. Okay, moving on to step 4, actively supporting yourself and giving your brain direction. This is an extension to step number 3, but supporting yourself with making decisions in advance is incredibly powerful to help you avoid in-the-moment decision fatigue. And also, supporting yourself means folding into a daily practice, uncovering and discovering your deeper wants and desires. So instead of just feeling annoyed, stressed, bored, or overwhelmed, reflect on it and write down why you think you're having that emotional experience. What are you telling yourself about your work, your kids, your time, your partner, your money, your life that's creating that emotional experience? Actually writing it down and dumping it all out of your brain is giving yourself some attention and airtime, which is actually solving a deeper need. Stuffing yourself with food, the chips, the cookies, the wine is actually just ignoring this because the food never actually solves the problem. This is really one of the key ingredients to the magic sauce of forever weight loss. It's like when you're driving around in the land of forever and you start to head towards Wobble Land. Having a daily practice in place will help you reveal why. It's like, oh, this is me driving to the land of Wobble because I'm feeling stressed. And I know that I often cope with stress with the extra glass of wine or those Cool Ranch Doritos. Oh yeah, those coping mechanisms is just me visiting Wobble Land again. That's all. Here's what is so interesting about step number 4. If you don't really know how to find or access your deeper wants and needs, just stop overeating. Stop the extra snacking and the scrolling and the wine, and you will find out quick. That urge to overeat or overconsume is really masking some uncomfortable emotions that you're having, and they just want some airtime. So to recap the 4 steps, we want to, number 1, have a strategy that works. Number 2, have a strategy that is sustainable and becomes simple. Commit to that strategy on a daily basis. And step 4 is to give yourself and your deeper wants and needs some more attention and direction. Now, there are some important points that I want really for you to take away. The first is that Wobble Land isn't bad. Listen, I visited Wobble Land last year, and more than my just few pounds of fluctuation, I definitely went a few pounds beyond that. So how is it that I can come on here and say, like, hey, it's totally easy to maintain your weight loss? It's because when I visited the land of Wobble, I did a U-turn and took an exit ramp. I actually documented me visiting the land of Wobble in real time for my Unstoppable clients, where they got to see a month in my real life, real time, stepping on the scale, vlog style. And they get to access it inside the Unstoppable group, which is so much good fun. Anyways, they saw me visiting the land of Wobble, where I definitely went past my usual few pounds of fluctuation, and it's totally okay. They got to see how I discovered why I got there. And what I discovered, which I'm just going to tell you here, is I was skipping steps 3 and 4. I stopped giving myself daily significance and attention, and I stopped paying attention to my deeper needs and wants. I took my routine for granted because I was maintaining with ease for quite a while, and then real life was starting to throw me some curveballs, and I never accommodated for those. And so very naturally, my brain went back to old patterns. That's all. I got to notice it, I got to evaluate it, catch it with a compassion, and then take the next exit ramp. Here's the thing that most of us do, and I want you to really pay attention if this is you. Do you maybe notice when you're in the land of Wobble, maybe you have stagnation or weight gain, but then you don't catch it with compassion? You judge, blame, or scold yourself, or maybe think that something isn't working, and then you tell yourself maybe you don't even care. Basically, you choose to stay in the land of Wobble because you break up with Foreverland for a little while, but then you wonder why it's such a struggle. That's what I want to highlight here. Because you have to care about getting to the land of forever and prioritize being there on a daily basis. Now, I know that caring about weight loss and caring about your dream weight can feel tender, especially if you're worried about all the U-turns and K-turns that you've had to take in times past. I totally get it. But I think after this episode, you're going to start to see so clearly that there's no confusion anymore. When you have strategies that work, that are sustainable, and that become simple, when you give yourself significance in writing on a daily basis and you're supported by incredible awareness, I'm telling you that living in the land of permanent weight loss becomes simple, and that there is daily work here. And eventually, with some time and practice, it does start to become more and more automatic. It's like showering or brushing your teeth. You don't have a clean body or clean teeth and think, well, this is it. Never have to do that again. No, we never do that. Yet somehow when it comes to our bodies and our weight, and even our brains, we sometimes do this. What this episode is really highlighting around what it takes to reach and maintain your forever weight loss is that it's a daily practice, right? Just like brushing your teeth. And that it's okay to sometimes visit the land of wobble. Maybe there are sometimes areas that you forget. You visit the land of wobble because you implemented a strategy that didn't work, or you had a process that wasn't sustainable, or you didn't give it daily significance, or you forgot to pay attention to your deeper wants. That's okay. Just notice when you're in the land of wobble. And now know that you can simply take a U-turn or a K-turn and go on that exit ramp. This is not a perfect practice because we're going to have moments that we forget and go back to old patterns and feel the disappointment of seeing the number on the scale go up. But there never, ever needs to be drama ever again. It's just a normal part of our experience. And you just pull out the K-turn when you're ready. This is the journey. And I like to call this radical work of creating forever pounds off. So as a recap, living in the land of forever weight loss means you're giving yourself permission to take up space. You're giving yourself more than the scraps of time, energy, and bandwidth as an investment in your future. Giving yourself permission to take up time, energy, and bandwidth now is creating more for you later. And it's allowing you to live in the land of forever with more ease. A few pounds up and down is normal, and it's not actually wobble. Get to know what is normal for your body. And know that even when you start to live in the land of forever weight loss, you might occasionally visit the land of wobble. Nothing has gone wrong, and you can stay here as long as you like. You never even have to leave. But now you know exactly how to. You can always take that exit ramp, do the K-turn, and make your way back to the land of forever weight loss by implementing a strategy that works, a strategy that is simple and sustainable, giving it significance on a daily basis, and supporting yourself by filling your deeper wants and needs without relying on food. This is a practice, my friends. Be willing to learn and get really good at U-turns and K-turns. I'm telling you, it takes the drama right out and it brings in so much more space for ease, simplicity, and joy. So good. Friends, you have been hearing me talk all about sustainable and simple weight loss, and I want to point you to a free video series that I have created just for you. It's called the Power Start Weight Loss Guide, which teaches you the most powerful and simple tools inside my unstoppable process. I talk about hunger and satiety often, but I also hear the question, but how exactly do I do this? This series is the answer. You're going to get all 3 videos on one page, and it's going to take you about 30 minutes to get through these videos, which will really take you through the basics and get a feel for how this work works. Once you sign up, you're going to get instant access. Plus, when you sign up for the Power Start Guide, you're going to get a short series of emails that's going to guide you through the specific obstacles that I have experienced and seen my clients experienced. And then we're going to walk through exactly how to overcome them. You can get your Power Start Weight Loss Guide over at theunstoppablemombrain.com/power. I am so excited for you to bring this into your life and start implementing some of these tools today. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Weight Loss for Unstoppable Moms. It's been an honor spending this time with you and your brilliant brain. If you want more information or resources from the show, visit theunstoppablemombrain.com.